What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about this WGA strike and how it's going to quickly become unbearable. I honestly think it kind of already is. So, what I mean by this is really the combat on both sides. Now, I'll kind of tell you how I feel about it as well. But also, I don't know if now is the right time for this entire thing to be going on in Hollywood. I know some people are joking about the gaming side of things where it's like Zelda comes out next week. Hollywood's never going to survive even that. But also just Hollywood's not in a great place right now. So maybe that actually benefits both sides. There's things in general that both sides can look at, pro and con. So let's go through this. You had a strike, and basically, right, all these writers no longer writing. So these live shows, these Tonight shows are all being canned, and the world is actually, I think, a lot better off without them. That was the first thing I saw today, that Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel in the group, they're going to be reusing past episodes because they're going to, not be able to write their new shows. It's like, what a loss. And that's a joke, as in those shows are garbage. Anyway, that's really where it starts to come down to, right? Now, where I stand, give people fair wages, give people what they are deserved. You see the different illustrations of what the CEOs of all these companies make, and writers not even being able to afford rent. Now, I think some writers make good money. See, the issue when any of this kind of stuff happens is, what is the norm versus what are the special examples, right? So, I mean, obviously, yeah, you do have these people that are the heads, the CEOs of these production companies that are raking in, the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So you have that. But, how many writers are underpaid? You hear about writers not being able to afford rent. Well, how many are actually doing that? Now, the ideas of what they're looking for, right, in terms of content that stays in live atmospheres forever, live services, right, like streaming stuff, and they don't really get paid for that. There's obviously things that need to be fixed. So I'm in support of fixing the wrongs and giving them the money that they're deserved, or that would have already kind of happened, but then streaming kind of changed, the way things have worked. Catch up, basically. And that's the thing with sports as well, right? There's always the CBAs and stuff, and you got to be able to catch up to modern times. Some things are just old and outdated, so you have to do that for them. I'm also in support of the AI thing. I believe the Writers Guild has kind of said their demands of, well, you can study AI and what it's capable of doing, but you can't use it to write or look over and write anything, right? It can't do it. And I mean, yeah, I'm kind of with that. I think I don't know, the AI takeover is already here anyway, so you could say, well, it's just inevitable. I would like humans to do things personally, and when it comes to writing, I'm sure AI could write better things than half of the writers in the world, and we're going to get there because that's kind of one of the biggest parts to it. But at the same time, I don't know, humans versus humans, trying to better yourself, trying to just, push maybe a little bit more out of you. What are you capable of? I don't think an AI takeover is going to get the most out of human beings. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So you have all that. I agree with that. I agree with several of their demands that they should be caught up. The issue is, right, this kind of back and forth, and why it's going to be unbearable. You have all of these kind of obnoxious, when you have the Jimmy Kimmels and Jimmy Fallons of the world, striking and saying, we stand with them. Some of these people are so unbearable. So, not only is so many shows and movies garbage, and yes, as some of that on the direction, yeah, some of it on the talent, yeah, producers, yeah, writers. So the thing is this. When writers are, and this is literally what they're leading with, right? You cannot make these things without writers, which is true. Nothing can be made. You can't make movies, can't make shows without the writing first, okay? So that does need to happen. But when you put so much on yourselves, and they are doing it willingly, they are saying we are a fundamental part of anything. You cannot do it without us. And there is a lot of truth to that. But then you're putting a lot of the quality of the material on you. This is where I think things quickly kind of fall apart. And in the beginning of this video, right? I mentioned Hollywood is not doing great. Yeah, these CEOs are raking in money, but movies are failing all over the place. Now, maybe it's more of the bigger budget stuff, but I don't think, and I think you could kind of look anywhere, I don't think Hollywood's in the greatest spot. So, okay, if you're going to say as writers, well, we make or break you. Well, it certainly seems like you're breaking them then, aren't you? Because, well, number one, and you have arguments of, well, maybe there's too many of them. There's too many of these people. Some of them are being overpaid. Some people are saying, well, with the garbage kind of quality that we get, the writers, do they deserve to be paid more? And then to that response, you'd have, well, there's always good ones. That is true. And, I hear time and time about, shows that are like legendary that kind of come out. Obviously, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul just ended, less than a year ago, right? So, like, there are some really great things out there, and there are great writers. But I don't know. And again, it's hard to quantify. For every great writer or every great show. No, this I'm pretty sure you could say. Go on Netflix, go on Hulu, go on any of these. For any one great show, how many garbage ones are there? How many are there that get canceled after a season? You could say, again, well, that goes to the executives and stuff, but how many shows per one good show or amazing show, legendary show, how many per that are complete garbage? 10 to 1, 50 to 1. I'm sure it's a high number. So that's the thing. And that could be the thing, in sports across the board. Like, there are talented people that deserve it. I'm not saying, like, pay these people absolutely nothing, but you earn the money that you make. So this is, I think, where Hollywood can kind of step in and say, well, look, we're kind of dying. You talk about how important, you know what I mean? Like, this is probably what it would come down to. We're dying. You talk about how important you are, but you really overwhelmingly, not every single one, but overwhelmingly, you give us garbage, or it doesn't, or just doesn't make us money. Even if you say you like something that other people don't like, that's totally fine. You have every right to do that. You like what you like. But from a business model, right, maybe they can throw numbers at them and say, well, overwhelmingly, you make failed projects. You make projects that get canceled. You make projects that people don't want to watch. And yes, there can be the blame game of, well, you're not promoting it right or whatever, but you are saying how important you are. You are saying that you are basically the backbone of any given show or movie. So doesn't a lot of it fall on you if the pitch isn't good? Or if people aren't watching past episode 1, or your movie bombs in the box office? How much of that goes on the writers? Now, you could debate that, but when they want to put so much emphasis on themselves, which is this push-pull you have in negotiating, right? How important are you? It's important to know your worth, but if you overvalue yourself, well, then aren't you the cause of issue? It's not like Hollywood is just jumping for joy. See, if this was 6-7 years ago, I think they'd have more power. But like modern day, there's so many more box office bombs. There's so much more uncertainty. It's more streaming. It's gone a different path, right? It's a lot more uncertain. So I don't think the power, on the other side of things, you really can't do a lot of this stuff or any of it without the writers. So that's obviously where they have their main draw, is they are required to not write. So no more shows, no more movies, right? The only things that can go forward from today on is anything that's already been done. Or if maybe the director writes it, or, people that do like hybrid things, that's the only way it happens. Now, people have thrown in, like last time, 2007, I think that's when like the Dragon Ball movie came from that. There's been a lot of like terrible things. Maybe that's directors or producers trying to write themselves and they have no idea what they're doing. But, if they're in it to make money and they say, well, we can't wait it out. Last time it took 100 days. So what's that, 3 months? So this could go into like August or September at this point. I mean, it'll get crazy. And again, their main strength is, well, you can't do anything without us. And if you do something, odds probably are high that it wouldn't be successful. Although, I will throw out one last thing. This is a very exclusive group. And I guess this is the same thing for sports, although I think it may be a little bit different for Hollywood. So, like, say if the NHL or NFL, right, like, if they shut down, okay, you can't just have people on the streets that kind of come up and say, well, we'll play in the NFL, like, because we're not aligned with your guild or we're not aligned with the player association, right? So we can do it. You can't do that. In sports. So without the players, it's, again, a push-pull. Without the players, you literally can't play the game, so you need them. For this, it's all these members, I think it's 20,000 plus of them, but they all work for the Writers Guild. Now, the issue there, again, maybe a negative to this movement, is that there's average Joes on the street that, yes, maybe these people are not being, some of them are not being paid as they should, but there's also people that would kill to be in their exclusive Hollywood elite. Elite is in like the group that they're in, maybe not necessarily how much money they're raking in, right? But there are people out there that would kill to be part of that. There are people out there that are talented and way more talented than I would say easily more than half the. I think by logic, the fact that so much of Hollywood is bad, at least mainstream, and I think a lot of this has been considered like like Netflix, the bigger ones, bigger movies, right? There's plenty of indie things that work all the time, and there's plenty of talented people, but maybe half, maybe more than half suck, or absolutely, maybe you'd want them to just like fully quit, sign the deal, but have them leave. Well, what if you have these new age people, social media, AI? So people are throwing around AI. I think the thing is you can't use AI yet to like replace these people because of copyright. Like you wouldn't know who owns what and how all that stuff would work. So as long as that's not ironed out, you can't replace these people on strike with robots and with AI. Now, maybe in like 10, 15 years, don't go on strike because you would be replaced immediately. So you'd have that. But you also have these average shows. What about content creators? Not me. But what about people that have the hundreds of thousands or millions? What about people that do short films on their channels or, whatever? They're extremely talented. They're probably more talented. Markiplier, didn't he just do like a short film or whatever? He's probably more talented than half the writers in Hollywood. Well, can they kind of step up? And what if they do their own thing? So this is also maybe inadvertently another shift. No matter how few days this goes on, and it probably won't be few, it'll probably be a lot. This is another shift of maybe it's time for like the working folks, the people that are not in this Hollywood group, maybe they kind of change the game. Maybe these short films on YouTube and these people that have no budgets, they just kind of go and have fun. What if they kind of start to take over because there's nobody in their way? The writers, they're gone. What if they start to make projects? Again, it's different than sports. You could do that. Now, is a Markiplier going to walk up to, like, say, James Gunn, hand him a script and say, hey, nobody else can write you this. I'm not part of the guild, so here's a script. Well, you know what I mean? Like a huge example of some average Joe going to some director and saying, you don't have any writers, I'm going to write you a script. The odds of that happening are very small and probably would only happen few and far in between, but like it's still, you're getting closer to that because you have eliminated yourselves, the Writers Guild. You've eliminated the only roadblock, and that's you. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's also going to be unbearable because the last thing I need to hear is Hollywood elites, as they always do, telling you how to think, but I guess telling you another thing of how to think. Donate to these people. I think that's maybe a bad look because, like, one final time, I know and I'm positive there are people in this Writers Guild that are talented, as well as those same people are not paid as well. But also, you have to think about the mentality of the common folks, us. Number one, we're not doing too great. The economy is not that great. So you're asking us to pay for these people. That's the first thing. Number two, some of these people were paid fine. Some of these people were paid completely fine. Also, the general mentality with Hollywood is, well, it's not that great. It's not that great. It's diluted. It's losing its steam. Things are failing. Why am I helping them? Why would I even care? Or why is it like a part of my day-to-day routine that I should help these people? Why should I care? The more that goes, it's like, well, okay, being told that not only do you need to support the strike, but like donate to these people's grocery bill. It's like, okay, again, some of them may need the money, but some of them don't. And also there's this mentality that I think is at least partially true, that a lot of these writers are garbage. They're complete garbage. Now, not all of them, right? Like I saw Cobra Kai season 6 has been put on the back burner because they had to stop, and oh my God, please get them back there soon, right? So there's of course examples out there, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.